If you are struggling to sew a curved hem, don't worry, I feel you. So many of the tutorials out there to have you doing these tiny little ironing sections, rolling tiny little baby hems. It is so hard, so confusing, and so time consuming. So if you are ready to be done with all of that and you want a really quick, easy way to get a perfect curved hem every time, this is the tutorial for you. And if you've been following along with my DIY cloak or my circle skirt tutorial, this is the perfect next step because we need to finish those curved hems. Now for this project, for sewing a curved hem, you are going to need the following. You're going to need your project that has the curved hem on it. You're going to need bias tape, store-bought or handmade, thread that matches, pin or clips, an iron, and your sewing machine. The first thing we need to do is measure along the curved edge of our project, whatever it is we're trying to hem. Once we have measured this, this is how much bias tape we need. Now you're going to want to take this measurement and add about 1/2 meter or 1/2 yard, just so you have a little bit extra to play with. Then once we have all of our supplies, we can get into the sewing. For the sewing, we're going to take our project, whatever it is we're hemming, and we're going to lay it on our table in front of us, right side facing up. Then we're going to take our bias tape, and when we look at it, one side should be flat, and the other side should have these two folded edges, okay? The flat side is the right side of our bias tape, and the folded side is the wrong side. So we're going to take our bias tape right side facing down, and we're going to line it up with the edge of our project. Okay, now make sure you let the bias tape hang over about 1 inch or 2 centimeters. And then we're going to take one fold of our bias tape, unfold it, and line up that unfolded edge with the edge of our project and pin it in place. Okay, so we're going to just pin this along our entire project. Now, if your project is pretty flat, not too curved, you can use less clips. But if your project is really curved, like we see here, you can use more, okay? There's nothing wrong with using a lot of clips. We want to use however many we need, okay? Once the bias tape is pinned in place, we are then going to sew it. And the goal here is to sew in that fold line, okay? Wherever the bias tape was folded before we unfolded it, that is the point where we are going to try to sew. Now, you might find this easiest to do if you move your needle. So you might want to check on your machine how to do that. But find a way to make it easy for you to sew along there. Okay, now this does not have to be perfect. We're just going to do our best. So we're going to sew along this fold all the way along our entire project. And once the bias tape is sewn to our project, we're going to head to the ironing table. When we get to the ironing table, we're going to fold our bias tape away from our project. Okay, so put the iron on your project and then pull away towards the bias tape, so that way everything lays nice and flat. Now, again, depending on how curved your project is, the bias tape, even after you iron it, may not lay flat. And that's totally fine, but ironing in this step is going to make the next step even easier. So don't skip it, okay? So now that we have ironed it, we're going to again come back towards our work table. And we're going to fold that edge down, the 2 centimeters or about 1 inch that we left. We're going to fold it down on top of itself, okay? So that way the fold, wherever we're folding this extra little piece down, is lined up with the edge of our project, okay? Once that extra little piece is folded down, we're going to take the bias tape itself and fold it in half. Now, if we leave it like this, we could clip and pin this right here like this. And if we do, the bias tape will give us a really pretty visible edging all the way around our project. So you'll see when I look at the front of this cloak that I'm making, we can see that blue bias tape. So if you want the bias tape to be visible, this could be really pretty. There's a lot of clothing out there right now that has this, these jackets that are really cute. So if you want that to be visible, just fold the bias binding in half, pin it in place, and then you can sew this down. But for most of my projects, I don't like the bias binding to be visible. I think it looks more professional and nicer when I can't see the bias binding. So if we want the bias binding to be hidden, we're going to take it, now that we've folded it in half, and we're going to fold the entire bias binding towards the wrong side of our project until we can just see a teeny little piece edge of the right side of our fabric. Okay, once it looks like this, we're going to pin it in place. We can see that from this side, the bias binding is nice and flat, and when we look from the right side of our project, that bias binding is hidden. We cannot see it any longer. This for me is the best option. Okay, so we're just going to continue this same process around the entire hem. Depending on how curved your project is, this might get a little bit tricky. So this is the point when you want to take your time and go slow, okay? Now, the reason bias tape works so well for this is because it's actually stretchy. If we can see here, when I pull it a little bit, it has a little bit of stretch, and that's what helps it go around curves so smoothly. So do your best. Pin it in, clip it in around the curve, and if things are a little bit bumpy, not quite right, then just go back. Take out some of your pins, smooth it out a little bit, re-pin it, play with this until you get everything nice and smooth. Because if it's smooth here, it will be smooth when you sew it, okay? So take your time, go slow. And then once everything is pinned in all the way around, we're going to go back to the sewing machine and we're going to sew somewhere either in the middle of this, or depending on how confident you feel with sewing straight lines, you're going to sew a little bit closer to the edge of the bias tape. Okay, so we're going to start at the edge, at the very top of the bias tape that we've put on. We're going to do our lock stitch and we're going to sew all the way around. And that's it. Now we can see from the outside, we cannot see the bias tape at all. It's completely hidden. From the inside, we have this really pretty, nice finished edge. It just looks so professional, so nice. And look how flat and smooth this curve is. Now, some of you might find that after sewing, your curve is just a little bit wavy. Try ironing it, okay? Put a little bit of steam on your iron, press it down, and that should make your bias tape sit super smooth, super flat, and give you a perfect curved hem. How easy was that? I hope that you try this and I hope that you love it. Now, if you have any struggles with this, if you want more help with it, if you want to get help directly from me, you can join my DIY Fashion Rebel Society. It's a $5 a month sewing community where we make one project every month, and you have structure, support, Q&As with me, just everything you need to help you start and finish one sewing project every month. So if that would help you, the link to it is down in the description. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe below so you'll be notified when I post new videos, and like it so that way more people can find this video. Now, if for some reason you can't find the perfect color bias tape for your project, don't worry. You can actually make your own custom bias tape, and it's easier than you think. So if you want to make your own bias tape instead of buying it at the store, check out my video right here on how to do that. And until the next one, happy sewing!